We are back for another episode of Nfc Beast, and as always, we are joined by our Giants representative, Scrub Zero. We got the Washington Commanders represented below down here with Couch Coach. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing all right. It's been a lot of mid football
Across the division, unfortunately.
across the league.
That
It
is
ain't just the
yep,
division.
that is fair. That is fair. Couch Coach, how are you doing right now?
Yeah, I'm here, man. In the great words of Joe Namath, I don't care about the Commanders just struggling, but I'm here, man. So.
That is fair. That is fair. We might as well start right there. Obviously the big news coming out of this past week is the pretty brutal injury that occurred with Jaden Daniels. So we'll just kind of go ahead and kick it off with that conversation right away. I mean, everybody's seen the picture at this point. His arm is quite literally bent the wrong direction. Quite insane to watch in real time. And then really kind of see it slowed down at the moment. It was brutal, quite frankly. And we were talking before we got on camera here that he has actually not been placed on injured reserve and he may not need surgery. So, Couch Coach, I mean, why don't you kind of give us your reaction to your initial reaction to the injury and how you feel now that the news has come out?
I think the initial reaction was just like, here we go again. It's the classic case of, taking 2 steps forward and then taking 6 steps back. Especially considering the fact just the injury history of Jay Daniels this year, obviously, with the knee injury after the Green Bay game in week 2, comes back, have, some good games, and then have the hamstring injury against Dallas. And it's pretty much his first game back from the hamstring injury. So then you see this year thinking, man, this is, could be catastrophic. I know we had talked about it early as far as initially seeing him with the air cast, because typically we've seen, obviously, in other cases where that particular part is broken. So my first initial reaction was like, man, this is not good. Luckily, the MRI and the X-ray results came negative, so that was another good sign. And then, like I mentioned to you guys about as far as them not putting him on the IR. So pretty much it's going to be a week-by-week basis. They'll reevaluate after the bye week. So it's one of those things where it's very optimistic. So it's not like situations like, oh, my God, he's going to go into a potentially his third season rehabbing instead of training and getting himself better. Even though it was his non-throwing arm, but you look at those injuries and you're like, man, that could have been very catastrophic. So to me at this point, crisis aborted, and very, very lucky that it wasn't as bad as that it looked initially.
Completely agree. And I think, even from a rival's perspective, obviously I'm a diehard Eagles fan. I mean, when I initially saw the injury, my immediate thought was, I hope he's okay long term, because he's exciting to watch from a football fan's perspective. He is so much fun to watch. Why would you want to see a guy like that injured, especially long term? So, I mean, that is definitely something that I thought was scary to watch. But Scrub, what were your thoughts when you initially saw the injury and now hearing that he might actually still play this season?
I thought it was season over initially. It just looks scary. Like watching the replay, I just hear the crack in my mind. But to hear that he could be back this season, that's good news. I wouldn't rush him back. I think that's kind of what's led him to that injury, because they lost faith in Marcus Mariota. They didn't trust him enough to say, all right, we're going to make sure our franchise quarterback gets right. We'll trust in Marcus Mariota whether we win or lose. And I thought it was a situation that could have been avoided. I'm just glad the young man doesn't need to have surgery on his arm.
Absolutely, completely agree. Some other injury notes. from Washington in particular. Apparently, Terry McLaurin missed practice all week. Javon Kinlaw didn't practice Friday. Eddie Goldman, Tyler Owens, Quan Martin, all questionable. Couch Coach, any of those guys on that list in particular that you're particularly worried about not having this week?
I mean, I think the obvious one's probably be Terry. He's going to be out, and especially when you're going against. He was very effective in the game that we played in the divisional round against Detroit last year. So now you're looking at that, and then obviously that's going to be a really interesting. Like we were talking about, I think a lot of guys. I think potentially, obviously, we're going to be without Luke McCaffrey. It's not looking well as far as guys, as far as that's going to be available this week. It's going to be kind of iffy. So I know last time I checked the injury report, essentially who practiced today. I'm assuming Goldman probably going to play. Quan will probably play. Tyler Owens, they'll probably play. They were full participant in practice, so you're looking at that. Trey Amos. So I see those guys probably more likely will be playing on Sunday, but like we talked about Terry's out re-aggravated that quad, and he's on the IR. They put him on the IR. So yeah, it's been that year, man. It's been that year. It's been a year for us.
Unfortunately, and staying on that same theme of injuries, Scrub, your Giants are kind of banged up at the moment. They've got quite a few guys out, including their kicker, Graham Gano. What are your thoughts on the injury situation the Giants are facing this weekend?
Man, Graham Gano stay hurt nowadays. I don't even know why they haven't gotten. I know why they haven't gotten a new kicker because they thought he would stay healthy. They paid him all the money. Now they can't find a kicker. I mean, they tried the international guy. That didn't work. He missed 2 extra points in the game against Denver. So that was it for him. Gano came back, and now he out again. So I guess they're going to go with Young Hoku. But, I mean, this is nothing new. Giants end up getting banged up throughout the whole season anyway. Adebo's out again. It looks like we down a few corners. Flott was a full participant the last 2 days, so off a concussion protocol, so he should be back on Sunday. But I mean, I don't even know what to say anymore. I'm tired of this team. I don't want them to lose every game because they've disappointed me long enough. This head coach has disappointed me long enough. But in a very serious note, like it's depth pieces and key guys. I mean, your best cornerback's hurt. Best cornerback's hurt. One of your offensive linemen is questionable for the game. Obviously, your kicker you thought was going to be your guy was out. Chauncey Golston is out too. One of your depth inside linebackers, Musal is out. Starting center, John Michael Schmidt's like it's just a lot of injuries, dog. Javon Holland might be back this week, but he's designated as questionable as things stand right now. It don't look good for the Giants. Let me just put it like that.
Yeah, it definitely looks kind of rough. There was quite the injury list. I mean, there's a bunch of guys that you did not mention just now that were limited participants as well in practice, but are still expected to play. So Eagles are dealing with some injury news as well. Cam Jurgens missed practice again. It's expected that Brett Toth will start at center once again. Adoree Jackson's also coming off concussion protocol and dealing with a personal matter. Missed practice Friday. His status for the game is up in the air currently. I would expect him not to play. Cowboys could see Demarion Overshown, Malik Hooker, Donovan Wilson, and Siobhan Revel Jr. all back following their upcoming bye week. So they're kind of seeing the plus side of the injury bug. However, obviously, as we all know at this point, there was some pretty big news coming out of the Cowboys locker room this week as Marshawn Kneeland has passed away, and I'm not going to get into the circumstances behind what happened with him, but what are you guys' thoughts on how that's going to affect the team going forward? Obviously that's a big deal. You lose a guy that you've seen every day, for the season, plus, And I imagine that's going to affect several mindsets going forward throughout the rest of the year. Let's go to Couch Coach first on this one.
Yeah, very just disheartening and sad news, and it just shows you just life, man. Like the ebbs and flows. Monday night he gets a touchdown. 3 days later he's dead. Like it's so crazy how life is, and it's just one of the things. You just never know what goes on in people's mind. I think that's one thing. Like we always say, be kind to people. Like, because you think you would never thought in a million years having a high like that on Monday and then having a low like that on Thursday to Wednesday night to be in that predicament. And my heart goes out to his family, the team, and that's another thing, and it's going to affect him. I mean, it's just like anything. This is a guy that you probably have seen more than you see in your family. This is, an extension of your family. Obviously, you look at like the leader of the Cowboys and Dak Prescott. You think about his situation with his brother and all that. You think about all that, how he's been like a advocate for mental health. So it's just one of the things where this is another, similar circumstance in that regard. So, it's just strange, not strange, but it's just so really hard. It's serious sad for his age. I know we've talked about retired players in this predicament, and it seemed like this year it's been more of guys that's currently playing football that's in their youth, and that's one thing. And it's just heartening because he had a whole life ahead of him, and especially now being in my 40s, I couldn't imagine all the good things that have happened past my life, past 24. And not being able to even witness the greatness of your life. And it's just so sad, and it's just heartening, man. It's gonna be a carryover effect. I mean, it's gonna, it may not see it on the field, but those guys are hurting. Those guys are hurting for sure.
Absolutely. Lost way too soon, 24 years old. Scrub, what were your thoughts on the situation as it came up this week?
Yeah.
Just as shocked as anyone else. I mean, doing the game Monday night, just looking, he gets a touchdown, gets his team back into it. To hear that he passed away a few days later is just it's life, but it's just one of those things you don't think would happen. It's easy to take things for granted, but I mean, even being grateful for every moment, like you just don't expect something like that to happen. As for the team, I know definitely they're all feeling it. I don't know how they're going to respond off of the bye week, because usually something like this happens. They're playing that either like Sunday or Monday. This is quite unusual. I don't remember a situation where a player has passed and then there's they have a whole week off to sit on that. Prayers go out to him, his family, his teammates, those close friends. It's just some scary stuff, man.
Absolutely. Obviously, we want to take a moment to throw out there, if you're struggling with depression at all, call this number below, 1-800-273-TALK or 8255. So, we've all been there. Everybody's been through tough times, and it's sad to see a kid, because quite honestly, that's what he is, a kid, go this young with so much promise left in his life. So, but on to other more football-related notes. Excuse me, sorry about that. There was quite a few trades leading up to the deadline here. The Cowboys actually acquired a couple different players, and unfortunately our Cowboy representative isn't here to discuss them tonight, but I wanted to get your guys' thoughts as well. Scrub, Cowboys trade for Quinnen Williams and Logan Wilson. They trade away Mozzie Smith, a second rounder in 2026, a third rounder in 2027, and a 2026 seventh round pick. What were your thoughts on these moves?
Logan Wilson, maybe he'll give him something with the Cowboys. I'm not expecting too much from him because he wasn't playing too great with the Bengals anyway. Like, I mean, sometimes a player just needs to change the scenery after a while. So we'll see if he's still got anything. Quentin Williams' move was a good move. You get another guy who with Kenny Clark, so your interior on the line should be set. But you're still missing, especially now that Dante Fowler injured. Maybe he'll be back after the bye. That is one favorable thing, but he's injured, so he's really your only guy on the edge who can get pressure. So you still need an edge guy. You still need cornerbacks. I mean, Trayvon Diggs is hurt again, and even when he was healthy, he wasn't playing great. Deron Bland, he cool, but he's kind of more like a third corner than a second guy. I'd rather him be my third corner because him as my number one. Well, we saw what Marvin Harrison did when broke his ankles. It was like, oh! Which is very funny to see, but it was like, it's good, but it's not good enough. And that's kind of the story with the Cowboys. They can make a good move, but they don't make that key move that will solidify them. But I mean, all things considered, they could have done worse. They could have sat pat, did nothing, and it'd be worse off than what it is. So take what you can get, I suppose.
That's fair. That's fair. Couch Coach, what are your thoughts on these moves for
I agree. Like, as far as that, getting Quentin Williams wasn't I put it this way, like a necessity. Like, but like but if he does come up on the market, you grab him. But like you said, they do have a lot of holes in it. But the thing about it is, where is this a move that will, quote unquote, their team that needs more than just that one integral part? Like, most times when we in this trade deadline, it's almost like, okay, we got to plug in one spot, but obviously they have multiple holes to be plugged. So I do like the move again, Quentin Williams, and I guess it's just one of the things where I think they're maybe in the 2026 business. Hey, we got somebody that's going to be productive going forward for this team. It's not like he's the missing piece. He'll be a great piece for this team going forward. So, and then like I said, Quentin Williams don't come on the market every day. So, I mean, why not try to grab him?
Completely agree. He's got to be one of the best interior and defensive linemen in the league. 49 plus sacks as an interior defensive lineman is a pretty hard thing to come by for sure. So, in other news, obviously the Eagles have acquired a few players. They kind of made a trio of trades in October and November, acquiring linebacker Jalen Phillips for a 2026 third rounder. They also brought in defensive backs Michael Carter from the Jets and Jair Alexander from the Ravens. I'm not going to lie, I was pretty excited about the Jalen Phillips move. I also like the Jair Alexander move. I'm not the biggest fan of Michael Carter II, but I also do understand that we needed depth at the secondary. We obviously have had a ton of injuries there recently. Adoree Jackson, we mentioned before, is going to end up not playing this week, and we've also just have struggled opposite of Quinyon Mitchell, and with DeJean playing safety, we haven't had anybody that could step in there at cornerback to kind of fill that hole. So I'm glad to see us bringing in some defensive backs and staying aggressive and trying to stay atop the division, but I wonder if we brought in the right guys. So we'll see moving forward. But I wanted to ask you guys as well, for each of your teams that did not make a move, obviously, Couch Coach, you guys are coming off the injury to Jaden Daniels. Do you think that weighed into their decision to not go out and acquire anybody for the trade deadline?
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things where you kind of caught in a situation. Obviously, last year we were actually buyers, obviously, with Marshawn Lattimore now, who towards ACL. But anyway, let's leave it alone. But you see how they were looking for like a few pieces of weight to make to make a run. So at the time last year, they looked at, hey, we are within we were like pretty much on the verge of a playoff team about it. But in this point where it's just like you really couldn't get too much. Like as far as I know, a lot of people look at Debo on the market because pretty much Debo how much we were really gonna get for him, and just some of the pieces that as far as the guys that we could have sold in a sense, is it even really worth it? Because I don't really think you want to get much from that. And like you said, I think it's like you said, as far as the whole injury of Jay Daniels, there is a point where yes, you have to have some optimism. But at 3-6, and your franchise quarterback is out for potentially 3 weeks or more, let's just have common sense. Let's just have a come to Jesus moment and realize the season's pretty much lost. I mean, yes, you can make a little run, but it's highly unlikely at this point. So yeah, I think a lot of that did come into fact, especially with the injury where hey, season's pretty much lost, and hey, we're just rebound and get the ball rolling in the offseason as far as roster building.
Makes perfect sense to me. Scrub, were you surprised that the Giants didn't make any move, whether that was trading players away and kind of building up draft capital or bringing somebody in to try and hopefully get them over the hump?
I'm not surprised they didn't make any moves. From what I've been reading, it wasn't because they didn't try. It was because no one was really looking to take the players they were trying to send out. They're trying to get something for, according to reports, it was Evan Neal and Jalen Hyatt. They were trying to get something back for. And Evan Neal, former 7th overall pick, he's been on the bench all year. I guess whatever they're looking for didn't materialize to anything. And Jalen Hyatt, unfortunately, has been downright unplayable. As for trying to bring someone in, they couldn't do that either. The big name that was linked to the Giants was Jalen Waddle, but supposedly it was a first round pick Miami wanted, and because it wouldn't just be a rental, you do have control of this contract, I think, till 2028. So if any move's going to be made for Waddle, probably be the off season. The Giants are trying. This regime is trying to save their jobs. Let's just call it what it is. They're trying to save their jobs. They haven't done a great job in roster building, as we've seen with how the roster's been constructed and the depth or lack thereof. The coaching has been subpar, to put it mildly. And honestly, I'm at the point where they've disappointed me too much. I want to see them lose every game from here on out, because that would mean we get a new head coach and hopefully a new GM. I'm tired of seeing the same old thing. These guys should have been gone last season. They're still here. I know they're not trying to fire guys mid-season, so that's why they need to lose so they could get rid of them as season's end. Word up to me, as soon as I saw Saquon hoist up that Super Bowl trophy, they would have been gone. I would have got him out before that, but that would have been the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, okay, that's a fair point. It's a fair point. I mean, you let that guy walk out the door, and then he turns around being the missing piece for the Eagles. Yeah, I'd say that's a fair, fireable offense.
You know what would be funny? Just before we continue, imagine if Daniel Jones gets to a Super Bowl this year.
Oh, Lord. If the Colts are in the Super Bowl this year, you have to fire the staff for the Giants. Like, you have no more questions at that point. So I'll leave it up to you guys. Do you guys want to review Week 8 as well, since we didn't do an episode last week, or would you like to go straight into Week 9?
Well, might as well go through these games. We let the people know how bad our teams are or are not.
Sounds good. So we'll rewind a couple weeks back to Week 8 here. The first game of the week that kicked off for the NFC East was the Giants and the Eagles, which ended up in a 38-20 victory for the Eagles. The Giants had previously beat the Eagles the last matchup. Scrub, I'll let you kick this one off. What were your thoughts on this game?
My thoughts is that it was going to be a long day, and it was a long day, but not exactly in the manner I expected it to be. I thought, yeah, honestly, y'all should have dropped 50 on the Giants, and I thought there was a lot of missed opportunities from y'all. I do think that the quarterback sneaked the brotherly shove that they said Jalen Hurts was down by contact and got the first down. He was not. I know he was not. That ball he was not. His forward progress was not stopped. That ball came out, and the league said, "Nah, we gonna let them hold on to the ball." I'm like, "Oh, here we go." And then late in there was some other dubious plays on both ends, and then the late pass interference by Darius Slayton. Yes, it was a pass interference, but usually they don't call that. And then I remembered, oh yeah, that's right, you're Darius Slayton. We're not even gonna discuss that. But and oh yeah, Cam Scottaboo got hurt that game, so that was fun. Listen, Giants are cooked. They deserved to lose that game. They should have lost by more. Jackson Dart did what he could, but I mean, he's Jackson Dart. This is his first year. He has limitations. It showed. Jalen Hurts was amazing. 4 TDs. Probably could have got some more if you guys were just a little more cohesive. But I mean, all things considered, y'all still made things work. Devontae Smith balled out. Saquon got the big run to get the party started. And yep, 38-20. Oh, by the way, yeah, I said it before. Darius Slayton. Why is he still here? Why couldn't we trade him? Oh yeah, because no one was going to take that contract. Go ahead. Before I say something I shouldn't.
Couch Coach, any thoughts on this game? I think you might be frozen again.
Oh, dang, they got Couch Coach? No.
We'll see if we can't get him back on. I've seen a lot of jokes about the government shutdown affecting Washington. Maybe it's also affecting Couch Coach's internet. We're not sure. But but looking back at this game, I think from an Eagles fan's perspective, one thing I was very encouraged by is the fact that we were able to see the run game get going. We've been hearing about it all season long. Saquon this, Saquon that. He's not doing what he did last year. Well, yeah, of course he's not, because defenses are loading the box and preparing for Saquon because they know he's the focal point of the offense now. So this was one of those games where it worked to our advantage. The Giants loaded up the box. They ran 8-man fronts, I think 30+% of the time, if I remember the statistics correctly. And Saquon and Tanks Bigsby were able to get to the second level on several occasions. And when they did, it was off to the races. And that was the whole difference in this game, in my opinion. Like you said, we missed a lot of opportunities to score more points. And if we had, hit those opportunities, maybe this game looks a lot different. But, if not for those big runs by Bigsby and Barkley, I don't think we actually come out of this game with a victory. We were just lackluster more often than not in this game, and it was hard to watch at times. We just left the opening for the Giants to come back into the game, and they kept themselves around all game long, and it wasn't until like the fourth quarter where I really felt that we kind of put it away and separated ourselves finally. But Couch Coach, any thoughts on the Eagles Giants game?
If the technology wants to work with us,
maybe. All right, we'll go ahead and move on from this game then. He's speechless. It was such a great performance by the Eagles. Just kidding. So moving on to the Commanders and the Chiefs game. Uh-oh. All right, we'll see if we can't get Couch Coach back. We'll apologize on this one.
He's been having a bit of difficulty all night.
Absolutely. We'll see if we can get him going. But moving on to the Commanders and Chiefs game, Cowboys and Broncos game. The Cowboys lost 44-24. Bo Nix balled out in this game, 19 of 29, 247 yards, 4 touchdown passes. J.K. Dobbins went over 100 yards. Troy Franklin, 2 touchdowns on the day. What were your thoughts about Dallas losing to Denver and then moving to 3-4-1 on the season so far?
I thought the Cowboys had an early opportunity when they got that pick, and having to settle for a field goal instead of getting a touchdown kind of turned the dynamic around. Then the defense turned back into the defense we know them to be. They couldn't stop. They let the Broncos get outside way too much on the runs, because that's a lot of what I saw was beating them up. And then later on inside, they were getting gashed too. Bo Nix, listen, Bo Nix is a one-read quarterback. But when you're unable to get pressure on a one-read quarterback, when you're unable to take away his first read, you make him look great. And he did a good job of taking what was available, and the receivers kind of had a party on them. I mean, Troy Franklin, 6 for 89, 2 TDs. Cortland Sutton got some production. Harvey had himself a big game. Had the one receiving touchdown, 2 rushing touchdowns. I mean, it was 2 rushing touchdowns. Dobbins went over 100 yards. They just dominated the game from after that first drive. And the Cowboys, they couldn't protect Dak. There were missed opportunities. Obviously, 2 picks. I know everyone's going to be like, Dak sucks, this and that. Like, bro, if you saw that game, you saw Dak was under siege all day. They got him off his spot. And when you get Dak off his spot, it's a different story than when he gets to sit back there, set his feet, and make his throws. So, and the Cowboys didn't get the run game going like they should have. I know Denver got a good defense, but they could be had. We see they could be had. They've just been getting they've capitalized on some opportunities, but they've been more lucky than anything else. But Cowboys, they cooked, man. Stick a fork in them.
That's fair. To 2-1 run to pass ratio. So I mean the Cowboys basically abandoned the run early and didn't do Dak any favors on that front. Like you said, Denver's defense was in his face most of the day. They only allowed 2 sacks, but that really doesn't tell the full story. He was pressured a lot more than that. The Cowboys also shot themselves in the foot several times with penalties. 9 penalties for 80 yards is not helping anybody. Dak threw a couple of interceptions, on rushed passes, which of course is not a good thing. But I mean, at the end of the day, the thing that I think really helped Denver was their third down efficiency. 5 for 8 on the day. They never really got in a position where they're behind the sticks too often. They always had manageable third downs, and that was really kind of the story of the game in this one. They only ended up having to punt twice. So, I mean, anytime you're only handing the ball back to the other team 3 times in the entire game, you're probably going to win that game. And this was an indication of that. So, great game by Denver. I think this exposed a couple weaknesses by the Cowboys, and ultimately that's why we see them go out and make those couple trades that we saw this past week. So, it'll be interesting to see what the changes do for their defense moving forward coming out of this game, which we'll talk about, how they play this in week 9 now. So moving on to the Giants versus the 49ers in week 9.
Well, we still got to go through the Chiefs and the Commanders.
I apologize. Skipping right past the Commanders and Chiefs. So the Chiefs laid a whooping down on the Commanders, and obviously in the game, as we know, Jaden Daniels ended up getting hurt, hurting his elbow, and Marcus Mariota played the majority of the game. It did not bode well for the Commanders.
That was Daniels was out against the Chiefs. It was Marcus Mariota the whole night.
Sorry, my mistake.
No, you're good. That's why I'm here for you. But
that's good because apparently you paid closer attention than I did.
It was a 28-7 game in favor of the Chiefs, but honestly, that game was horrible. That was a horrible Monday night game by both sides. Chiefs didn't really get going to the third quarter. Mahomes threw 2 picks. Yeah, he had 3 touchdowns later on, but like, watch it. It was one of the worst games I've seen in a while, man. Oh, there's Couch Coach. You good finally? For the time being?
Yeah, I'm good, man.
Technology working
Internet,
out.
yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, perfect timing. We're talking about the Monday night game, Week 8, the Commanders versus Chiefs. Why don't you go ahead and give us your breakdown of that game?
Dang, I don't want Couch Coach to speak anymore.
Yeah, apparently the internet, every time I ask him a question, they're just like, nope. You don't get his opinion.
Oh, it was crazy. And it's just one of those where you never capitalize. I know, like DQ was like, yeah, we're just gonna be living on the edge. But I'm like, that's what scared me because I'm like, no, you need to capitalize. I know you want to live on the edge, but you gotta capitalize in those predicaments. And then the second half, the dam broke. It kind of just reminded me of kind of how the Commanders used to be in the past. Like as far as when we first started this show, same missed opportunities. You hang in with them, and then the second half they get their second win, and they the second wind.
Looks like whoever's doing the sabotage got their second wind, and then got Coach.
Oh,
And they just took care of the game, and off those turnovers. So yeah, it was terrible.
fair enough. I mean, honestly, not much left to be said on that one. It obviously was a rough game if you're a Commanders fan, 28-7, and your only touchdown came in the second quarter. So that second half was probably a long one. Moving on to Week 9 now, we'll talk about the 49ers and Giants on Sunday or
Sunday afternoon. Yep,
there we go.
It was not a pretty sight in No Life Stadium. Yes, I called it No Life Stadium. That's what it is, because when the Giants and Jets play there, the life gets taken out of them. They play horrible. As another, the Giants got off to a fast start again. That looked cool and all, and then reality set in real quick. I mean, Mac Jones went 19 of 24 for 235 and 2 TDs. Yeah, I only have 5 incompletions. I can't do nothing with that. Christian McCaffrey went for $106 on 28 carries. Brian Robinson had 53 more carries. Each of them got touchdowns. And defensively, they couldn't stop a nosebleed. San Fran was 6 of 11 on third down. They went for it on fourth once they got it. Just 2 punts. We just talked about it with the Cowboys versus the Broncos. Only punt the ball twice. Good chance you're not the other team isn't winning that game. Even though the Niners had lost a fumble, like the Giants are they're not even a sorry good team. They're just sorry, dog. They deserve to lose. Dart only had 100 yards through 3 quarters. The final stat line looks a bit better than what it really was, because that was just garbage time at that point. And I thought they got away from the run too early. I thought the Niners had done the same thing a little bit. I thought the Niners could have ran a little more, but they didn't get away from the run. The Giants did, though, because they started off early running the ball, and then they stopped, and they became one-dimensional, and this team is not good enough to be one-dimensional. Darius Slayton then had 5 for 62. That looked good, but there's a lot of missed opportunities he had because he's a sorry good dude. Well, actually, he was a sorry good dude. Now he's just sorry. Wanda Robinson, 9 for 46, but all that was short work. They didn't let him get behind him and with the run after catch or even a busted coverage. Theo Johnson missed a lot of opportunities too. I remember he had 2-3 drops. And then defensively, just get up. Can the Giants get it? Can the Giants set the edge? Can the linebackers fill their gaps? Can they get off the field? Can they be a competent team? You said if you answered no to all those things, that's how you got to 2-7. Congratulations, Giants. This is what you get.
Yeah, it was a rough game. 5 of 12 on third down, 5 punts, 2 sacks allowed. Got dominated in time of possession. I will say though, only 5 penalties. That is one little tiny bright spot there.
Yeah, except when the penalties came, it was all at bad times. It took away any momentum they could have had.
That's fair. That is fair. Timing can change everything for penalties. That's for sure. Moving on to the Commanders and Seahawks. Couch Coach, what are your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, Scrub pretty much illustrated that one. Yeah, it was, and shout out to Mac Jones, man. Mac Jones yet again is got a third life in San Francisco, but yeah, it's been a rough season for this team. But he obviously had some, but yet again, just a little scrub. Like, look, I'm ready for a full house.
All right, I think we caught a little bit of that there. What are your thoughts on the Washington and Seattle game?
Well, let's make this quick. Like it was a massacre. It was just terrible. Obviously, Seahawks got out to a great start. Sam Darnold, that first half, he was perfect. Didn't have any completion in that game in the first half. It was over by halftime. We're really over in the second quarter. This team, this defense is regressed. A lot of missed tackles. We've been talking about all year where pretty much these guys just ain't wrapping up and just not doing their thing. And Sam Darnold, if he had an MVP moment, it was in this game. And we talked about obviously the major headline in this game. It was people had an issue with Jaden Daniels on the game. It's kind of a catch-22. I definitely think he shouldn't have been in the game, but that was a drive that when they were driving and they were in position to score. So I get it, but then it's one of those things where it's just like sometimes you got to admit that, hey, we're down 31. We're not coming back. Save this quarterback, live to fight another day. And that's one thing too with DQ. He'll learn, and it's a learning process with him as well. But it was terrible. And this kind of is crazy going into the season. This is kind of one of those games I looked at as a barometer because I always looked at Seattle and Washington were kind of like two playoff teams, like as far as teams that could be jockeying for position in NFC. Only one team is jockeying for position in NFC after this game, and it's the Seattle Seahawks. And man, I can't wait till the 1 p.m. kickoffs next year because our prime time schedule is going to be really, really light next year. So looking forward to 1 p.m. kickoffs next year.
Man, I wouldn't speak so grimly. You still got Jaden Daniels. Let's hope he comes back. If not this year, next year, completely healthy. But
man, I'll speak grimly. You and the dang on Cowboys cost me in fantasy. Dang it! I would have won fantasy last week if it wasn't for the dang on Washington. Because I want to get Sam Darnold. Y'all gave him the 4 TDs in his guy, and then Marvin Harrison they'll beat me up because the Cowboys can't play defense. I can't trust none of y'all. I hate my division.
Wow, strong feelings there from Scrub. So, Scrub, do you have any feelings on this game other than the fact that it screwed your fantasy team?
Had Sam Darnold out here looking like all pro. Told people about this average roster that Washington got. I knew it was gonna come back to bite him. It didn't hurt him last year. It came back this year. Actually, it did hurt him last year. It just hurt him in the championship game. And the early is only certain in. It's mid. I didn't think they'd be this bad off, but how you let Sam Darnold do this to you, dog? That's Sam Darnold. He ain't nobody.
I don't know. He had a pretty good season last year. I'm just saying.
Who were the receivers on that team again?
They were also pretty good. I mean,
Okay.
just some guy named Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, that Justin Jefferson fellow, that Jordan Addison guy. Yeah.
Nobody talked about. Oh, we lost Couch Coach again. All right, so moving on from this game, we'll go ahead and move on to the next game of the week, which was the Cardinals and Cowboys, which, as you alluded to, was not a very good game for the Cowboys. 27-17 victory for the Cardinals. Jacoby Brissett came out in relief of Kyler Murray, went 261, 2 touchdowns, 21 of 31. Amari Demercado had a pretty good game, 14 carries, 79 yards. What were your overall thoughts on this game, other than the fact that Marvin Harrison went off for 7 receptions and 96 yards?
That Jacoby Brissett is better than a lot of these. Jacoby Brissett could start for a team in this league. I know he can. A lot of people say he's not very good. I never thought that. I'm not saying he's a franchise quarterback. I'm not saying he's going to carry you to a Super Bowl, but he can get the job done. I think he's better suited for the Cardinals right now than Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray has not played well all year. It's just time to admit it. He's been injured. The athleticism is lost. He's a short quarterback who doesn't do anything special outside of that athleticism. With that gone, like, he doesn't have special accuracy. He's not great. He's not elite at reading defense. And for whatever reason, him and Marvin Harrison, they couldn't connect. Jacoby Brissett going to get Marvin Harrison Jr. the ball. They were able to run the ball a bit. I wish they ran it some more. I thought the amount of carries they went for, the backup running back Xavier Knight had 9 carries, and I thought they should have ran it more than what they did. But I think they did an overall good job. Trey McBride made a few plays for them. Michael Wilson got that big play on the crossing route. Cowboys, we saw a lot of the same issues on the safeties. The secondary just couldn't hold down the receiving core. They couldn't stop runs at certain times, and they actually got after Dak Prescott. And for once, the fourth quarter was not the end of the story for the Cardinals, because they kind of been bad in fourth quarters, and they actually got a big stop late. Like, the Cowboys they were in the game, but they weren't really in the game, which is unfortunate. I thought they got away from the run too, because Javonte Williams has 15 for 83 yards, but Dak had 39 more attempts. I like Dak, but I don't want him throwing 40 plus times. I want him to stay in that. I don't want him really exceeding 35. Ideally, I'd rather him be like around 28 attempts. They were 0 for 3 on third downs, fourth down, my mistake. So, that's no good. I think they were 1 for 3 in the red zone too. It's not good enough. Missed opportunities and 3 turnovers. Three turnover downs, 3 other turnovers, 2 fumbles lost to interception. So that's 6 possessions you done just gave away for no reason. It's not good enough. Yeah, they only had 1 punt, but you got 6 other possessions you get nothing out of because of the Cowboys deserve to lose this game. Yeah, Cowboys deserve to lose this game.
Completely fair. Yeah, it was just a poor performance by the Cowboys across the board. Regardless of where you look, as you mentioned, the play calling was terrible. They got away from the run too early. They cannot seem to find balance on this offense at all, and it is really kind of hampering them as a whole and making Dak go through a lot more pressure than he really should. You've got some pretty quality running backs there. Javonte Williams has had some pretty solid performances as of late. You've also got, a couple other players there that can add a little bit of something in the run game. Kavonte Turpin has that speed back there as well, and he can be used as a runner. A couple other guys have mixed in as well. Malik Davis is one of them. So I'm not really sure why they got away from the run and why they continue to get away from the run so often, and it just continues to hamper them from finding victory every week. So eventually I think they'll probably end up getting it through their heads that they need to run the ball more and protect Dak. But we'll see if that happens anytime soon. But it seems like the Dallas Cowboys, as we just mentioned before, going out making those 2 trades, they understand that the time is now for them to improve or blow it up, because at this point, the team is just kind of treading water. They're always sort of competitive, but they always want to play their way down to the competition. And let's be honest, the Cowboys should have mopped the floor with the Cardinals. The Cardinals have not been good this season. And yet here we are talking about how the Cowboys were, not only lost, but they lost by 10 points. So
just honestly, the Cardinals, their record hasn't been good, but they've not been a terrible team. Opening week, they only lost by 1 to. No, they won opening week. No, yeah, they won the first 2 games against the Saints and Panthers. They lost by 1 against the Niners. They lost to the last minute against Seattle on Thursday night. They just really had a lot of hard losses. They haven't been out of any game. All their games they've lost have been actually. This is the first game they played that they've actually had a margin beyond 1 possession. So they're not. They're just a team that hasn't figured it all out. But this wasn't a team that was that the Cowboys, like the record. You think about how the Cowboys offense play. You like sure, but look at the Cardinals. They really haven't been out of any games. Their defense has been solid for the most part. It's just closing out games. That's been their issue.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
And unfortunately for the Cowboys, they were able to close this game out.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's kind of where I had thought that Dallas would have the upper hand in this game. Simply because you look at the Cowboys, which are realistically a more veteran team, you would think that they're going to pull through in a situation like this where the 2 teams are semi-evenly matched, but apparently not so much this week. So we'll see, man. It seems like the Cowboys are kind of finally hitting rock bottom, but I always think that, and then they seem to rebound. So there's a lot of time left this season. They could still find a way to sneak their way into the playoffs, depending on how the rest of the year goes.
Well, they better figure it out soon. They're already at 5 losses, and we're at week 10. They got 8 more games.
Yeah. It's they need to figure it out right away. And I mean, this upcoming week they've got a bye week, so they can hopefully get healthy, and then move into the home stretch of the season and hopefully find a groove the rest of the way if they intend to make the playoffs this season. But we will get into some mid-season awards for our teams. I figure we might as well just do the Giants and the Eagles since we're the only 2 here at this point. And then we can kind of maybe ask those guys next week if they're back next week. But I'll go ahead and give you the floor for this one. I mean, what were you thinking? Were you thinking MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year?
Yeah.
Rookies?
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with that.
Okay, cool. Go ahead and give us your lineup for the Giants.
Which is hard because the Giants have just been that sorry, but MVP would probably be MVP and defensive player would probably go to Brian Burns. He's been the most consistent guy by far. It hasn't even been close. Offensive player, It'd be Wanda Robinson by default. Cam Scatterboo has been hurt. He's missed some time. Plus, he didn't early on. He wasn't getting playing time. Jackson Dart has been too up and down, and no one else has really done anything consistently outside of Wanda Robinson, whether it be because of health or just quality of play. Rookie of the year, I guess it would have to be Jackson Dart. Nah, I'd probably still pick Scatterboo, but you could pick either or. It just hasn't been very good for the Giants. I guess Abdul Carter has to say too, but like he's making an impact. He just hasn't had the production to go with it.
It's fair. It's fair for sure. Oh man. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I was not super prepared for this particular topic beforehand, but if I'm going with MVP, I think it has to be Jalen Hurts right now. There just really hasn't been somebody who's standing out outside of. Actually, I take that back. Dallas Goedert. Let's do Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert's in the midst of a career season. He has never scored more than 5 touchdowns in a year. He's already got 7 this year in 7 games that he's played. He's turned into a red zone threat this year, and primarily because of other players on the team, which I'll get to here in a moment. I think you obviously could go with Jalen Hurts. He's only got 1 interception all season long, 15 touchdowns. He's completing over 70% of his passes, but we have watched him dink and dunk his way down the field a lot this season, and really kind of just put the ball in the hands of his playmakers and allow them to make plays for him. So I don't think I'm really prepared to call him MVP currently. So yeah, Dallas Goedert, I'll go with him for MVP. Offensive Player of the Year, I think ironically it's still Saquon, because, or at least in part, because of the way Dallas Goedert has become so effective this season. I think this is primarily because of the fact that, as I mentioned before, defenses are stacking the box against Barkley to try and prevent him from taking over the game. So, what happens? The middle of the field opens up, and that's where Dallas Goedert comes in, and he's been doing a lot of damage, especially in the red zone, where you have to worry about stopping not only Saquon Barkley, but Jalen Hurts on the tush push. All of a sudden that opens up the vast middle of the field in the end zone. So that's, exactly why Goddard has been so successful this year. Defensive Player of the Year, I'm a big fan of Moro Ojomo. He's had a huge season so far, 4 sacks, leads the team. Been a breakout player where we really needed a defensive tackle to step up because of Jalen Carter's, injury issues this season. So it's been awesome to see him step up and kind of prove that he was a good pick a couple of years ago. As far as the rookies, I think Makuba on defense, he's played really well. Really stepped into that safety spot and done a lot of really good things. And I think he's played really well this season, and it is only going to get better as the years go on. On offense, I mean, there really hasn't been a ton of rookies involved. So it's kind of hard to say on that one. And I think I'll probably just give that one a pass on that one, because I really don't have any good answer for Rookie of the Year on offense. But yeah, anyway, moving forward, we can get into our Week 10 picks and previews and kind of put a nice tidy bow on this episode and move into next week. So we'll go ahead and get to the first game of this weekend, which, of course, is the Giants and Bears at 11 a.m. And I think this is an away game for the Giants, if I remember correctly. Awesome. So what are your thoughts on this game, especially with the way the Bears are playing as of late?
The Bears, they've been very up and down. They'll have moments where they're amazing, and they'll have moments where they just have you scratching your head like, why the heck are you guys here? My concern with them is that they haven't pieced a complete game together. Be that as it may, they've looked a lot better than the Giants have. I don't think the Giants defense is going to be able to hold up. Like all the Bears need to do is go for like a 7-minute stretch where they just start getting some big plays. It'll be over for the Giants. The Giants don't have the kind of team to come back. So yeah, I got the Bears. This is not betting advice. I'm just telling you what I would do if I were betting. I would take the spread because the Giants are sorry and the Bears are a better team than they are. I've seen this Giants team too many times. I would take the spread. That's just me, though.
You know what? I would second that. And again, we don't necessarily condone this as betting advice. But hey, by the way, if you are going to bet, check out BetUS, which happens to be a sponsor. You can check out the link in the description. But after the game that Caleb Williams and the Bears offense had in this past week, I think that the Giants fans and you included are probably in for a rough week. I think the Bears are going to roll through this game. I don't think it's going to be quite as dominant as their last performance, but I do expect them to win this game, especially with as banged up as the Giants are. You know, we basically listed the vast majority of their defense on the injury list, and that does not help anything when it comes to a Bears team that is coming out of last week super hot. So moving on to the next game, the Lions at Commanders. Commanders will obviously roll into this week with Marcus Mariota starting once again. Detroit's 5-3. They haven't necessarily been the powerhouse they were last year, but they're still a very, very good team, and most likely overmatched for the Commanders without Jaden Daniels. But what are your thoughts on that game in particular?
Shout out to my guy Detroit T. He's a Lions fan. He's been pointing out this offensive coordinator. Obviously, you weren't going to replace Ben Johnson, but this guy, he's not. He's trying to play too vanilla. He's trying to have it call the game straight up. He's going to have to get creative with some of what he's doing because you got the players for it. Start utilizing them some more. Get some more creative runs with Gibbs and Montgomery. Do some more flea flickers. You could run and pass in a lot of creative ways. So you got the personnel for it. And Jared Goff, he had a terrible game last week. He's throwing a lot of balls in the dirt behind receivers, all that. I don't think that'll happen this week. It better not happen this week if the Lions want to get to where they want to get to. Like you said, no Jaden Daniels. Their defense kind of ran through like a bull in a china shop by the Seahawks. I think the Lions are going to use this game to get right because I don't think they'll be able to stop Gibbs and Montgomery, Sonic and Knuckles, respectively. So yeah, I got the Lions, and I think they'll win by double digits.
I'm in the same exact boat here. I think the Lions realize how important this game is for them, while the Commanders are on the other side of things. You know, their season's kind of slipping away. Lions, however, though, if the Eagles win against the Packers this weekend, they could take over first place in their division, in a division that has 4 different teams with 4 wins or more, 3 of which have 5 wins. So it's definitely a highly contested division this year. So I think the Lions are feeling the pressure, and they're definitely going to come out firing in this one. I think 10 points plus victory is not out of the question by any stretch. Moving on to the Eagles and Packers game on Monday night. This, as mentioned before, should be considered one of the games of the weekend, obviously. Packers are sitting at 5-2-1 and in first place of the NFC North, while the Eagles are 6-2 and in first place in the NFC East. So yeah, great. This should be a great matchup. What are your thoughts on this game in particular? Can Jordan Love knock off the Eagles?
Can he? I think the Packers can win this game. I get the feeling that they won't, though. Like the Packers Packers, much like obviously the Packers finished third in their division last year, and they had that tough stretch of some games down the stretch, but they're not a bad team by any means. But they're missing something. It's not just the fact they kind of lack a number one receiver. They get too pass happy. Sometimes Jordan Love gets in his own way, tries to play hero ball instead of just taking what's there. Defense has been up and down. I don't know, and you know what it is? The Packers play their competition. They play to the level of their competition. Or at least the projection of the level of their competition. So, against the Panthers last week, a lot of people don't think very highly of the Panthers. We saw how that game ended up. They looked bad. They lost. We saw it against the Browns. They played down their competition. They lost. But early on, when the Commanders, you think, all right, the Commanders are going to do something, they kind of handled them. They got the tie against the Cowboys. I thought they rested on their laurels a bit in that game too. They beat the Steelers. They were solid against the Steelers. But I'm still waiting. Outside of the opening week, they haven't really had that complete game where you're like, yeah, Packers are really here. Even against the Steelers, they played well, but I felt more like Tucker Kraft being the hero and really dragging them along more than the team overall playing a great brand of football. So I know the Eagles kind of had a lot of the same issues too, but it's just something about this matchup that says that I could be wrong, but my instincts tell me pick the Eagles for this one. And that's what I'm going to do. I hope I'm wrong. I'd like to see the Eagles lose, but we'll see.
I think your instincts might end up correct. The Packers have not beaten the Eagles since Jordan Love has been in the NFL. 3 straight losses in their last 3 matchups. I will say that if history serves as any indicator, this game will have a lot of points. The last 3 games, all 3 of them have had 30-plus points scored in the game. 2 of them have gone over 60 points collectively. So, if you're a bettor, you might want to take that information into consideration if you're placing any bets on this game. I personally have the Eagles winning this game. I do think it's going to be a close game. The Packers are probably one of the best teams we've faced so far this season, and they are probably one of the most complete teams as well. They can run it, they can throw it, they can play defense with the best of them. So I am a little worried about this game, especially because I think the Eagles have shown flaws all season long, and they haven't yet played a perfect game. So I definitely have concerns about their ability to go in and beat the Packers in their house. But it's Monday night. Typically, we tend to play the best when the brightest lights are on. So we'll see if that holds true and they can make it 4 in a row against the Packers and keep a undefeated record against Jordan Love so far in his NFL career.
If the Packers are going to win this game, they're going to have to run the ball. Matt LaFleur, I know he's a passing guy. You're going to have to park that passing game and just use Josh Jacobs, dog. This is ridiculous. I'm tired of these teams not utilizing players that are on their team.
You have a good point. Josh Jacobs, should be one of the top rushers in the league right now, and he's had a good season by every measure, but at the same time, he's only averaging 3.8 yards per carry, and they haven't really utilized him as well as they have last season. So hopefully he can get things moving down the stretch. But you're right, if he can get going and bust a few big runs, this game could quickly turn into a Packers win. And I have no qualms about that fact. That's for sure. Any other topics, thoughts, feelings you wanted to get to before we get out of here for the evening?
Yeah, whoever messed with my guy, Couch Coach, y'all need to stop. That's my dog. We need to get him right, because him getting sabotaged by the internet ain't cool, man.
Absolutely. You can Cash App Couch Coach money for a Wi-Fi amplifier. That'd be great. We are taking donations on behalf of Couch Coach. So No, by all seriousness, though, we appreciate all the support for this show. It's been 4 seasons. It's going strong. Thanks to these guys who have been able to host the season, as I've missed a lot of it this year. And I apologize for you guys who have been carrying the weight so far. Definitely appreciate everybody who's tuned in. Like I said, 4 years, that's an impressive run for any show, and this show is still going strong. So we're well on our way to season 5. So stick with us for many more episodes. Catch us every Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern on Shady Sports Network. Playmakers, where can they find your channel?
My channel, I'm Scrub Zero, just like you see right here. I got
YouTube, correct?
Yep, on YouTube. Yep.
Perfect. And then also check out Couch Coach. I believe he's on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter as well, if I'm not mistaken. So on that note, make sure you're subscribing to all of these channels and checking out all the other content that they all have. We all have great stuff coming out all the time. Basically, could keep you entertained 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with sports coverage. And that's what we aim to do. So on that note, we will catch you guys next Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern for another episode of NFC Beast. Have a great night.